So you've heard mention of printed document templates in deployment classes or in some of our live streams, but what exactly are they? They are Microsoft Word templates that are used to create customized professional templates for your printed invoices, sales orders, purchase orders, and more. Printed document templates use merge fields supported by Sage Intacct to create a customized branded print format for your transaction documents. You can use them in the accounts receivable, order entry, purchasing, inventory, and construction areas. So for example, just to show you a few printed document templates, there are statements in the system in accounts receivable where you can put a customized printed document template as your statement to your customer. So when I click preview to one of those customer statements, here's an example of a printed document template, an AR statement that you can customize in Word. Okay, other ones in the system are subcontracts. Now this would be one that if you wanted some more legal jargon or an actual contract, you could modify this entire form to put exactly what you would like for a subcontract in the system. And that all can be done in the Microsoft Word editor to customize that document template. Also, you have change request forms. So here's an example of one in Word with the fields, okay, where you have the actual form where you can edit the layout, you can edit the table, you can add, you can move fields around, etc. And then on the accounts receivable side or the invoicing side, you can actually have a customized invoice as well that goes out to your project related customers. And you can customize and have different forms for different projects, different customers, and or just have a blanket one for all of your customers. So you could have one depending on if it's a progress bill type of project or if it's a time and material simple form. So here's one that Banger has customized as a similar to an AIA type of document template that matches close to an AIA document form. So very easy in Word to customize your forms with adding logos, adding lines, adding fields from Intacct. For example, these numbers are merged fields from Intacct. Okay, so I'll show that here in a minute. So the best approach to using printed document templates is to basically start from an existing template. So when you're in Intacct, printed document templates are stored in platform services in the printed document templates area. Okay, so in here is how all of the different templates, so you have different types here and what application it goes with. Okay, so we've got invoice ones, you've got kind of change request ones, you've got some statements, invoices, project change orders. Okay, so here's a whole library of printed document templates that are available in the system that you can start from and modify. Okay, so we're going to start from a sample one. And for example, I'm going to download, can hit the template button over here. It's going to come up in your downloads. And now I have the form that I can edit in Word. I can take off, move around different fields. Okay, so this is a table. So you could edit your tables here and delete rows, shrink columns, add fields. In order to add fields from Intacct, you're going to log in up here. Okay. And then you are going to insert your merge fields here. And you have a whole list of merge fields available that are in the system. Okay, so you have your different applications here. So if I'm on an accounts receivable invoice and I want to add a field, I can sort up here by my different fields. And I want to scroll down and maybe add a print delivery or project contract ID. Okay, so I'm going to place my cursor where I want it. And then I'm going to double click or I can hit insert, okay, for adding it to the form. Okay. Now, if you don't already have the add-ins where you can insert your merge fields in the printed document templates area back in Intacct, you can download the toolbar for Microsoft Word up here at the top. Okay, so it will load that add-ins menu to your Microsoft Word document template so you can add fields. Okay, so I'm going to make some changes to this. And we're going to save it. And we're going to reload this to Sage Intacct. So once you are done editing the document in Word, then you can come back in here and add it to your document template. And hit save. Okay, so now when I go look at one of those invoices, you can see now it has updated it with the wording that I changed. Okay, so let's say that you also have some different invoice types that you would like to use or send to customers. So a time and material type invoice. So you can see the type right here. So the one I was just displaying was called a project contract invoice. You can also have different types and it can be assigned specifically to that customer, okay, for example. So there are different types in order entry, which is your invoicing area, that you can set up that point to the different printed document templates. Okay, so to show you what I mean here, so on the transaction definition, the very bottom, you have your printed document template that you assign to that transaction definition. Okay, so when you generate invoices, to tie this all together, when you generate invoices into the system, in the system here and generate invoices, you pick the invoice template up here. Okay, so I'm going to pick a different bullet down there. So you can pick your project contract T&M invoice or your project contract invoice. Okay, those transaction definitions are here. Project contract or project T&M, and those point to your printed document templates that you want assigned to it. Okay, so you can change these. You can then, if you don't like something on the form, you update the printed document template in the printed document templates area here. Okay, so the BCS project contract progress bill is the actual template that I would download. So this right here, you download the template, you make your changes, then you can reload right here through edit and reattach it. Okay, right here. You don't have to change the transaction definition in order to make changes to the form. You just do it in that printed document templates area. Okay, so the transaction definition here, you don't need to come in here and adjust this. You just need to change the printed document template. Okay. Okay, now let's go into a little bit of detail on how to edit the actual template in Microsoft Word. First, I want to show you the merge fields in Microsoft Word and what is available. So if I scroll down here, you can see the different applications and the different fields available. So just a quick reference guide to help when you're building these to see which fields are available. Now, when you're building or editing an invoice form, for example, you're going to want to know what this field is called. So in the merge fields document I have here, what is that field called and how do I tie this to my form? Okay, so how do I find that easily in Intacct? So if you come up here and you do view as XML and you search for in that field, there was a dollar amount. So I'm searching for 2000 up here. You can see the different fields over here highlighted that have the $2,000 entry, for example. So the fields that you're looking for, it narrows it down if you do this sort of search. Also, the more specific you get, the better results you get. So my field is right here, entries price. So on my merge fields Microsoft Word document, I can now go into my merge fields. This was an invoice, so order entry, and I can scroll down and find my entries price field and add it to my Word document in the back here. So now let's jump into Microsoft Word and talk about the tips and tricks that you should use when formatting printed document templates. Okay, so in the logo here, before you insert any logos, you want to make sure that it is sized appropriately. Try not to do the sizing in Microsoft Word. If you want the logo to appear on every page of your document, place the logo in the header of the document in Word. Another tip is to turn on paragraph markers to see what information is grouped together. That will just help you to see if something is in a table or something is separately in a line in its own area. Also, you could use in the headers and footers, you can set different first page and other page header and footers so that if you want your first page to look different than the second or the remaining pages, you can do that in the header and footer tools up here. Okay, so just a tidbit there. Okay, Alt F9 will expand the fields to show the actual longer field name instead of the more summarized field name. Okay, so when you're editing the forms or looking at the actual fields, Alt F9 will toggle you between the two different views. Okay, so now let's go over some formulas and some formatting in Word. So I'm going to take off this paragraph marker and I want to show you how to start a formula in here. So let's add a field. Simple field here. So we're in the AR statements, what we've got back there. We're going to add a name. Double click is all I did. And we're going to hit Alt F9 to expand it. Notice the page has grown, so I'm over here now. Okay. So let's say I want to use this in a formula. I'm going to go down below, hit Control F9, and now I can type some more information. Like if I want to do an if statement. Okay, so let's talk about the formatting a little bit. So in the formulas here, when you add the merge field, you have a backslash, a star, and then this merge format at the end. Okay, the backslash star is the format field switch. So what you can do with that is such things as making it upper or lowercase. So I can come in here and do caps. You can do first letter of the first word capitalized, upper and lowercase. Okay, and there'll be a document attached to this video on the different formatting and examples. So what I'm showing here, for example. Okay, but I just want to point out a few of them. So the date switch, so if you have a date that you don't like formatted the way it is, the date switch is actually a different operator after the slash. Okay, so let's insert a date field. And instead of the backslash star, it's going to be a backslash @ sign. So for example, if I want the statement date to appear as like the spelled out month, and I'll attach document with all of these types of formats. So for example, August spelled out the word, the day, and the year, you could do something like that. So there's a whole document that goes through a bunch of these formats, but the point is the backslash @ the backslash star, and then the next one I'm going to show, the backslash pound, does different things. So the @ is more of a date switch, the star is more of a format, and the backslash pound sign or number sign is a number format switch. So for example, with that one, number format, it's a pretty common one. We're going to put a merge field in here for an example. And we're going to do backslash pound or number sign. And then you're going to tell it what you want it to look like. So there's a bunch of formats, again, in this document that I'll have as part of this video that you can see what you can do with your different formats, okay? Another way is to actually look in the edit fields, and when you go to the formulas here, there's some number formats in here. There's some more things you can do, but there's some very common ones in here. Like I want 2 decimal places with a comma. I want the $ in front with parentheses negative. So you can see the different ones here. Okay. So just some tidbits on the actual formatting and what the differences are between star, @ sign, and $ and what they do. again, the document kind of explains it as well. Okay, now let's jump into the if statement structure a little bit and how that should look and when you would use it. So if you want to display a field in the Word printed document template and you only want to display it if a certain criteria is met, for example, then you could use an if function. Okay, so the if function works. So Control F9 again. The formula structure is the if statement or the if word, and then you're going to do whatever merge field. You have usually a format behind it. Something like this. And then you're going to have this will be in parentheses. So the first field that you're going to put what you're going to compare it to. For example, let's say if the name equals Smith, kind of like I was doing up above, then, so this is another parenthesis. So this is the then part. Then give me Smith. Otherwise, just something so you understand this. So you've got the if word, you've got the field that's going to then use an operator to compare something to, for example, then do that, else that. So the quotation marks are driving the parts that it does the comparison, the then, the else. Okay. Again, this is all in the documentation as part of this video as well. Okay, now let's talk about the tables a little bit and how those work and what those are. So I'm going to hit Alt F9 to shrink this down a little bit. And we're going to go back over here to this is a table. So if we look at our paragraph markers, you can see that this is a table. Okay, and you can also tell by this little icon that comes up right there. So this table start is basically, I want to list out entries like this in a table format. So right here is the table start. Here is the table end. Okay, so we want the statement to list out the detailed documents, and so the invoices and the payments credits in my printout. Okay, so over here, you have to do a table. So this field here, let me expand again, Alt F9. This table start and table end will then drive where you start and end your tables. So if you have a printed document template that you have downloaded from Intacct and you are customizing, it's easier to do that than to try to create these from scratch on your own. So you can see how it's started, okay? So this table start, if you want to adjust anything in here, you need to be careful not to undo this table start or table end. And you have to be careful which fields you pick in the actual inserting of fields here. Okay, so what I mean by that is anything that starts with PR entry, for example. So these right here can be used in the table. So these are detailed table entries that can be used when you're building a structure of a table, for example. Okay, so when you look at an invoice, it's going to, some of those will also have tables. If you have a detailed invoice, for example, that you want to put multiple line items on your invoice, you're going to also have a table on that as well. So just to give you another example, there's a table start here. and I've got my entries that I can only use in that table start, table end. So when I look here at the merge fields, and this is order entry for invoices, the entries are what I can use in that table type format. Okay, again, you're going to start with something more than likely, and that's highly recommended, then modify it as you want. Okay, so the table start here and table end, I built a detailed customized invoice to list out certain lines on my invoice. Okay, so I want different things in my description, like the vendor name, the description of the bill, maybe employee name. So that's what this is doing, for example. Okay, so again, start with something, customize it, and play around with the fields. You'll get familiar with it the more you play around in here. The last thing I want to touch on is how to set entity level printed document templates into if you have multiple entities in your system. So we're going to go over to, for example, order entry transaction definitions. So this would be for invoices or sales orders if you use those. So we're going to just go into one here. I'm going to go to the Entity Settings tab. Within each entity here, you could set a different document template. Okay, so in the transaction definitions, you can have all different entities have different invoice templates. So if you have different logos, you have different wording you want, you would then go into the printed document templates, create those, and then attach them here. Okay, so this is the printed document template field. Okay, so look for the documents attached to this video, and if there's any questions, feel free to reach out to us and we would be more than happy to assist.